Hello everybody and welcome to $2 Horror. My name is Matt Eddy. I'm sitting here with my favorite possession in all the world. This is a mug from Waffle House that Leah stole for me when we first started dating back in 2005. This mug's got a lot of history. I've moved from Tampa Bay, Florida to Portland, Oregon to Pittsburgh, PA with it over the last 19 years. Every time I touch this thing, it kind of takes me back to Tarpon Springs, Florida, 2005. Leah and I were in our 20s and just met, and life was super fun all the time. You'd go to the Waffle House after having some drinks and stuff like that. You go to your late night eatery and get the terrible food that you're gonna eat and throw up maybe later. But like I said, a lot of history in this thing, and that ties into the movie that I watched for this month's episode, Oddity. Oddity is a 2024 Irish horror movie by director Damien McCarthy. It centers around a blind psychic who goes to the home of her murdered sister. The deceased husband is getting remarried, and she's kind of imposing herself for a night on these two people.
Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Well, if I'd known you were calling, I would have been ready.
Ted didn't mention he invited me.
Well, to be honest, Darcy, I didn't know you were coming either.
There's going to be some spoilers ahead, so go watch the movie, be warned. Here we go. The movie opens with the wife who's about to die. She's renovating what Wikipedia calls a farmhouse, but I am not sure about that. It looks like some sort of a stable yard or something to me. Anyway, she's in there renovating by herself. They do a very good job of creating this sense of isolation with the establishing shots in the beginning of the movie. She runs out to her car to get something, her phone or something like that, and when she goes back in, shuts the door, and all of a sudden there's a knock on the door. She's way out in the Irish countryside, so there really shouldn't be somebody knocking at the door. So she opens the little slidey hole, and she's like, what the hell do you want? There's this agitated person outside, this guy with like a long beard and a fake eye. And he's like, you gotta get out of the house. I saw you go to your car, and when you went back in the house, some dude walked in behind you and you didn't see him. You gotta get out of there right now.
Is there someone here?
I'm not gonna answer you.
Is there someone in here?
And she's like, I don't think so. Like, who are you? And this is where she gets murdered. So she makes her decision. She shuts the hole on him. She's like, if you don't leave right now, I'm calling the cops. And I guess he leaves. She's in her little camping tent that she set up in the middle of the living room. This is just where she's hanging out. And this is the first really scary scene. So one thing this movie does really well is that it builds suspense, tension, creates this really great atmosphere, and then it hits you with these really effective jump scares. And I know jump scares are looked down upon, but they're used really well here. You don't mind them. They're the fun kind of jump scares. this movie really kind of wins you over pretty quickly. Having said that, there are a lot of flaws in this movie. It's the director's second movie, so maybe it's just a matter of like honing instincts and developing taste and all that. There aren't any pacing issues. I don't think the movie does kind of move along pretty well. It hits all of its landmarks. But the plot is very predictable. The first spoiler, you know right away that the husband has something to do with this woman's death. It's clearly obvious. And there's some other things that we'll get into later. Anyway, she's dead. It's a very cool scene. We jump to 1 year later. The husband himself is visiting the curiosity shop owned by the wife's blind twin sister.
And if you're thinking of stealing something, you should know that every item in here is cursed. Curses are lifted at the time of purchase.
Cursed?
That's right.
Does that really deter anyone from shoplifting? Apart from the superstitious.
You'd be surprised how many stolen items are returned to me.
And she's kind of a clairvoyant. She has this power that whatever she touches, she can like read the history of this object. So she has a curiosity shop full of haunted objects. The husband is looking at this lobby bell, like the sort of bell you would ding in a hotel lobby. And she's like, don't mess with that. You don't want what comes with that. Blah, blah, blah. It's the anniversary of her sister's death, the wife. And so they're just kind of saying, checking in with each other. And he says, you should come to the house someday for dinner or something. She's like, yeah, I'd love that. And he's like, oh, by the way, I've met someone and I'm getting remarried. Doesn't sit well with her.
You've met someone already?
I knew Yana from the hospital. She's a pharmaceutical rep there. When Danny died, she was there for me.
Cut to a few days later, the husband and his new fiance are in the renovated home. Everything's all set up, taken care of. And the twin shows up unannounced. And she's like, hey, remember that dinner you invited me to? Well, here I am. And he's like, I gotta work right now. I'm going to the rundown insane asylum that I run. Leaves her there with his new fiance, and it's very awkward. The twin is being very antagonistic. She's like, I'm hungry, go make me some food.
Okay, I am leaving, but Tad will be back in the morning.
I'm a little hungry. Maybe you could make me something to eat before you leave?
Anyway, we're getting into the movie proper now. She's brought this big wooden chest with her, and inside of it, she has this very creepy wooden man, a life-sized wooden person that she sets up at the dining table, sits it at the head of the table. There's a point in the movie where the fiance notices like a hole in its skull, or its head. It doesn't really have a skull, it's a wooden man. Anyway, she's got tweezers and she's pulling all these creepy things out of the hole. There's like a vial of blood and a tooth, a picture of the twins, and a lock of hair and stuff like that. She's very confused, this woman's here for some revenge. She knows that the one-eyed man is not responsible for her sister's death. In fact, she knows that the husband is responsible for that. And she's just here for some vengeance. This wooden man, while I think the face of it was a little too evil looking, I think they should have designed it in a more impersonal, lifeless kind of face, just like holes for eyes and hole for a mouth or something like that. Anyway, it's still pretty creepy. There's a point where the fiance is up on a landing. It's like a little loft area, and she's looking over the railing down at the dining room table, and the wooden man is suddenly looking back up at her. I mean, it's lifeless. You don't get a sense of this thing is like alive, but of course it is changing positions. And it does that throughout the movie, where it will be at other places in the house. And you even see it move at some point towards the end of the movie, which I didn't think they should have included. It was chasing this other character through the house, and I think they could have done that with just having it being static whenever this person turned back to see how the pursuit was going. Anyway, this is a really effective movie. There's some really quality atmosphere and jump scares. They do that very well in this movie.
Downstairs instead of going back to the city, and I find it kind of cozy and romantic. What do you think, Ted?
Other things in it, like I said, the predictability of the plot and some style choices that didn't really fit in with the movie. There were things that were like really kind of corny, ghoulish, particularly the very last scene where you think the husband has gotten away with it. The twin is dead at this point. She doesn't make it, but she has set things into motion. The husband wakes up the next day. His fiance has left him at this point. She's like, what the fuck? I'm out of here. So he's by himself, finds the haunted lobby bell on his dining room table, and he's like, fuck that dead blind bitch. And he dings the bell, and then there's this like really stupid looking zombie bellboy, and that's when the credits roll. I didn't think that fit in with the movie. I liked the concept of that for the end of the movie. I just think that could have looked a little better, but that's kind of nitpicking. This is a really fun movie. I didn't love it, but I also didn't hate it. I'll watch it again. I'll probably have more fun the second time around because I'll know what I'm getting into. I think that was probably the main disappointment for me. Like, it fell flat because it felt like a different movie than what it ended up being. You know, I thought I was in for like more of an atmospheric, slow burn. And it was that, but there were just like some cheesy elements to it that kind of took me out of the movie. I know they're in there now. When I watch it a second time, I think I'll have a lot more fun with it. So that's my 2 cents on $2 horror for Oddity. Don't let anybody give you shit for watching movies all the time because their world sucks. And we will see you soon for the Christmas episode of Portal B. We got some choice movies lined up for you there. And otherwise, I'll see you next month on $2 horror. Take care.